Well, hello. For y'all in the room and for people watching, my name is Isa Gauchi. I am the marketing confidence cheerleader, and I own a digital marketing agency called Isa Messaging. And I work primarily with small businesses, solopreneurs in the creative, healing arts, and anyone basically who has a mission to make the world more just, beautiful, or healed is my people generally. Um, so my background that I'm approaching this is I am a corporate escapee. So I've been doing marketing in some shape or form for about 10 years. And I come from the perspective of doing it for the big guys with like all the budget in the world, all the private access data for what your big companies like the household name tech companies like Amazon, Microsoft, et cetera, are trying to figure out about buying behavior, et cetera. And what's interesting is, so these big companies will spend like a crap ton of money to be like, okay, so why isn't this launch going how I planned, or this marketing campaign going how I planned? Why am I not getting the sales? And it is almost always 1000% a marketing problem. There is some breakdown in the communication for why do you want it? Why do you want it now? Why is it better than your other options? And how will it benefit you? Which is basically all marketing is. But okay, so I think all my peeps listening to this and who have registered are in small businesses. So it's likely you don't have thousands of dollars to drop on market research. You don't have your own in-house marketing team, and you don't have access to all that data and knowledge. And that's okay. That is exactly why I opened my business, so I can bring you those insights and help us win and help like the businesses we actually care about, like making a difference in the world, be able to do that. So today I'm gonna share my screen, and I'm gonna make this full screen, and then I can't see the chat. So if you have a question, just unmute yourself and interrupt, and I will know to answer it. And that's also how I roll. I want you to get the most out of this as possible. So if you have a question, please interrupt me. It's more fun that way. Okay. So today we're talking about how to massively speed up your marketing results even on a tight budget. And what we are really talking about here is how to take your marketing mindset and approach from kind of a worker bee mentality to like, I have all these boxes I need to check off and carry out because I got it from a checklist somewhere, or my business coach told me to do it, or my friend's business does it this way, to more of a strategic leadership. Here's the big picture. Here's how I'm going to use my time the most wisely and the resources I do have most wisely to get to the next level that I want to get with my business. Okay. So first of all, we're going to talk about doing everything versus running everything. And this is something that I think is a really hard transition for most people. Even if you have come from like a leadership role in a bigger company like me to opening your own business, like it's hard to be the person that needs to hold the vision for the company and the person that has to do everything for the company. Or if you can relate, like shoot a little emoji or something on the video. But basically, what's easy to do if you're having to do a lot of the marketing yourself is to mistake the forest for the trees. So you get caught up in the trees. I have to handle this tree and this tree and this tree and this tree. And then you kind of lose sight of the forest. Or what are we trying to do with the forest? Are we trying to grow? Are we trying to contain? Are we trying to improve the health of the existing trees? Like you get so caught up that you forget why you're doing the thing you're doing. So the biggest difference between the, oh my gosh, I have to do everything myself, I have to juggle all the plates, and let's use what we got the most wise way as possible to get where we want to go faster, is having a clear strategy. And that boils down to, what do we want? Which sounds really simple because most people, when I ask them that, they're like, more money, more clients. And then I'm like, okay, but doing what? Like, are you willing to work 16-hour days? Are you willing? One big thing for me when I opened my business was like, I'll just do whatever makes the money, which meant I had to do like 87 deliverables a week, which was not sustainable and was not fun. And it had me feeling like really tired and like, why did I even open my own business in the first place? I wanted to be my own boss, and now I have 16 bosses because I have 16 clients that want this project tomorrow. And so I had to like be like, okay, but that's not actually the work I want to do to make the money. What I want to do is shift more into the marketing confidence cheerleading and more of the strategic big picture stuff, helping like you get off and then like take it from there, like get your strategy and go from there. And so less of me having to actually do it for you. Which was unconventional because I was making money. I was making a lot of good money when I was just doing it for you, but I didn't actually, that wasn't what I wanted as a person. So when I say, what do we want, even if that is just you, if you're a solopreneur, I kind of like to think of the business as a separate entity. So what do you as a person want out of your relationship with your business? And what does your business want? What is sustainable for your business? And so we need a clear understanding of what it is that we're trying to do and why. So we want more money. Why do we want more money? What are we going to do with it? How is it going to change our lives as a person? How is it going to change what we are able to do with our business? Who do we want to be doing this with? Would we really be happy taking and serving just anybody? So I like asking it that way because a lot of people are like, well, this could help everyone, but it's really hard to market to everyone. It is really hard to explain specifically the benefit to your life if you're also trying to explain it to like 50 other groups of people that have very different lives, values, and goals than you. That makes marketing real hard, unless you're like selling something like M&Ms, which I don't think any of the people on this call or watching this replay are. Most of you are offering a very specific service to people with very specific needs. Okay, so who do we want to be working with? What do we want to be doing? When do we want to be doing it? I was chatting a little bit before this call about some of us have things like chronic pain that we have to deal with. I'm just going to periodically check if I have to let anybody in. Okay. Ooh, lost my train of thought. Okay. So when do we want to be doing it? Do we want to do what I did when I opened my business and be like, sure, I'll take any project and have it all do at once? Is that what we want to do? Or do we need to have some things like boundaries in our contract or when we're setting expectations with clients about when things happen and make that spacious enough so we aren't driving ourselves crazy trying to uphold the overcommitments we've made in our business? And then how do we want to do it? Are there things we're not willing to do? Are we not willing to answer calls at 11 a.m. or 11 p.m. on a Friday night? Totally reasonable. But we need to be clear on all this stuff on like, what are the parameters of the work we want to do for who, and how do we want to interact with our people before we can communicate that clearly, not just to clients who have already invested in us, but to the people that are encountering our business and thinking about our work. We need to be clear on our boundaries so that to make this a really nice working relationship and interaction with other people, they have the ability to opt in or out because there's no fine print, there's no hidden details. You're just upfront with all of it in your marketing and you're unapologetic and you're not trying to negotiate because you're just like, no, this is what I need to do my best work for you. And so you can either be like, sounds great, or not for me, make it easier, just makes it easier. So strategy, we need a clear strategy for basically the who, what, when, where, how, why questions before we can set effective marketing goals and marketing tactics, and then figure out what we're measuring, what we need to measure. So we are going to talk about goal setting and metrics. I'm going to start with goal setting. So I think a lot of people who open their businesses and are just like, I need to make money real fast or trying to figure out marketing in a hurry is they borrow goals. They borrow goals they hear from other businesses they admire or maybe some articles they've read about what they should be wanting. But I think that's fine. That's fine to get inspired by other people, but you have to check it with your strategy. Is this in line with what I want for my business? Is this in line for how I want to do my business, who I want to work with, what I'm trying to create in the world? And then it's important to also be like, what are the logical steps? If where I am right now is point A, and where I want to be in a year is point Z, what are the steps in between A and Z? Because you can't go right from A to Z typically. I know a lot of us think we want to blow up and go viral overnight and wake up to 1,000 new customers tomorrow. But as someone who's had that happen, I literally woke up one day and had 10 new customers, and I was like, oh shit. I can't have any downtime. I'm never taking another day off. And then I had a health problem, and then it was a whole can of worms. So sometimes what we think we want is bigger than what we currently have the capacity to meet. It's bigger than what we currently have the capacity to fulfill, to serve, to do a good job on. So sometimes we need to be really clear about, like, long term, I want to get to point Z, but this quarter, I want to get to point E. So what are the points from A to E? And how do I set goals accordingly and appropriately for where I am now, and what is reasonable to expect for myself in my ability to grow my capacity? Okay. And then metrics is this working? Am I meeting the goals I've set to get to what I want, to my clear vision for what I want? So let's talk more specifically about goals. So I swear a lot, everybody. If you want to work with me, that's just something you should know. So how to set goals that don't make you feel like shit. I'm gonna borrow a term I like from a coach whose work I admire, and she says take kitten steps. Baby steps are too big. You know how often babies fall over when they're trying to walk? Let's take little tiny kitten steps. And the reason I want you to think about goals as kitten steps is I feel like really, and I find for a lot of the people who work with me, and it's true, a lot of us are sensitive artiste types and kind of, you know, tend to have some neurospicy going on, is that when we set goals that we're consistently falling short on, they're goals that consistently like don't match up with what we are able to do or what we actually want, and we're consistently failing to meet those goals, it's really demotivating. It's hard to keep going. I find it so much easier to motivate myself and most of the people that resonate with me if we're setting tiny little doable goals and celebrating every time we do. Like we're giving ourselves that little dopamine hit to be like, yes, I feel like I can accomplish more. I can tackle more. I can tackle more. Like if you feel the difference in that energy, like, okay, I'm going to give you two scenarios, and if you're willing, people live on the call, tell me how they make you feel in your body and your energy. Okay, one. I set really high goals and I fail to meet them every day for a week. And then the next day I'm so discouraged, I don't do anything, or I just like research, or I just listen to podcasts for the next 6 days. And then I just don't look at my to-do list and kind of do what I can. That's energy number one. That's possible. Okay, energy number two. I set little tiny kitten step goals. I set them a little lower than I think that what is possible for me to accomplish in a day. And I meet my goals every single day on a streak for 3 weeks straight. And then by the end of those 3 weeks, I realize I've hit a really big goal. I've accomplished a really big project. I don't know. Let me know. How does that make you feel? What do you think? Anyone want to tell me?
Yeah, so the first example is definitely me, but maybe a little bit extreme because I am good at accomplishing goals, but I always set them too high and I never make them all. But then the second illustration, I was like, what? That sounds like you're not going to get anywhere. And then at the end, you were like, and then you reached a goal. And I felt confused, like, that can work.
Yeah. So if we say like one of our big strategic goals is like, I want to start a podcast. Okay. And if we just put that on our list for the week, I know a lot of folks won't do it, right? But what if the kitten step would be like, okay, day one, I'm going to come up with a list of possible topics for 5 to 10 episodes. And then I'm going to do some other stuff I need to do. And then the next day I'm going to be like, oh yeah, I like that. Okay, so what are the main themes? I'm going to take the themes about what I want to talk about and come up with a name. Okay, great. Day 3. All right, I'm getting kind of excited about this. I'm going to choose my podcasting platform. I'm going to put my name on there. I'm going to get my pictures ready. All right, sweet. Day 4, I'm going to just outline episode 1. Day 5, I'm going to maybe write out a script and read it and see if I like how that goes. Day 6, maybe I'll just do a live and see if I can pull the audio from that. All right, that went pretty well. I'm going to just put these up there and see what happens. Okay, day 8. So we're like Tuesday of the next week. Okay. I'm just going to share these episodes with my followers. I'm just going to be like, hey, I'm trying this thing. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any questions. Day 6, you're feeling so pumped by the positive response you got. You're like, I'm going to try a third episode. Okay. So by the time we get 3 weeks out, you've got like 10 episodes of your podcast and people know about it, right? Does that make sense? Okay, sweet. Let me find where my thing went. Okay. Am I still sharing my screen? I'm not, am I? Okay. The other reason I like this method is that when we set really big goals that are going to take time and investment and energy to get to, we don't get as much opportunity to check in with whether they are aligned with your big picture vision, with your big picture strategy for where you want to go with your business. And sometimes we can get so focused on a big goal, like let's say you're like, I want to grow my Instagram following by 1,000 followers this quarter. If that is the thing you're focused on and you're not like checking in with yourself or measuring, both in terms of, is it lining up with my larger business goals? Is it getting me new customers? Am I getting the right people? How am I feeling doing these tactics? If you don't give yourself the opportunity to check in until you achieve that goal, you might miss. What if all of your sales are coming from your email list? What if all your sales are coming from your email list and you're spending so much time on Instagram, you only sent out 3 emails in the quarter? Like, wouldn't you have wanted a chance to stop and check in before you put all the effort to getting 1,000 more Instagram followers to be like, actually, I have more fun writing emails and I'm getting more sales with emails. Maybe I should focus more on growing my email list and communicating regularly. Maybe like that would be more important to my overall goal for my business than getting to 1,000 Instagram followers. And then also, I think when we set these big goals and when we're like looking to conventional marketing and business advice for like, what are marketing goals? What should I be aiming for? You might be tempted to be like, well, I need to grow my Instagram following, or I need to go viral, and get over focused on hitting an external goal that doesn't actually line up with you, with your audience, with your big why, etc. And then also, and goal setting, I feel like, is personal. You do have to find like a way that works for you and motivates you, and everyone's going to have it be a little different. So if what I'm saying doesn't resonate with you, you fully have permission, or I don't care if you like find a way that works better. But for me, for a lot of people that I work with, our initial thing is to be like, I want 10 new members in my group. Okay. So that's the goal. That's the big goal. But that's kind of like the Z goal, right? There's a lot of points in between point A and point C. So we go right to, so the first step is get 10 new followers. That is not the first, or 10 new members. That is not the first step. What are all of the little steps that go into getting 10 new members? You're probably going to have to promote it more, right? You might have to reach out to them in more channels. Maybe you need to hold a free event. Maybe you need to like directly reach out to people who would be a good fit for your program. So goals, I like to go, what is step 2? Don't go from step 1 to step 50, which is the temptation a lot of the time. What is step 2? Then what is step 3? Then what is step 4? Okay. So let's talk about metrics. This is another one I feel like people get hung up on a lot, because when they're trying to like come up to speed really fast on running a business, come up to speed really fast on marketing, they kind of like look to experts and just like pick things they think they're supposed to be measuring out of thin air. And actually, I really don't like this approach because it makes me nervous, one, because for metrics to matter, you have to put numbers in context. Like numbers mean nothing without context. So what are you measuring against? You need really good benchmarks. And you have to be careful with these because they're often pulled and quoted all over business influencer, social media, and analytics out of like sample sizes that are old or have nothing to do with your geography or audience or are not relevant to the platform or your industry. Like benchmarks get really specific. And when you're measuring against a benchmark that is not relevant to your circumstances, it can make you feel really bad really quick and really discouraged. The other thing is, so I want you to know that the thing we think about like with research and metrics, like where these numbers come from, yeah, big companies spend a lot of money like doing big surveys and stuff. But I want you to know they also spend a lot of money on qualitative research. So your big Fortune 500s, they spend a ton of money on studies that consist of like 10 to 15 people they're just interviewing about their user experience and their buying journey, et cetera. So even if you have access to all the numbers and big data in the world, you're still going to spend a lot of money trying to understand how are humans actually interacting with our brand? How do they feel about our product? How do they feel about our buying journey? What is their experience working with us, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So all of that stuff you can't just fit into a little stat or statistic. Like you need to talk and interact with a human to understand. So for us small business peeps that, can't drop 50 grand on a quant qual study, we need to be careful about what metrics we are paying attention to and how we use them. So I think when we have a clear strategy, a clear big picture vision, and clear goals, we also get to have that influence what metrics we care about and which ones we don't. So I like to, when we are setting goals, to also be like, at that time, not later, what will I take as an indication of success? So one that I feel like is always a permanent is, did carrying out this tactic actually further my big picture vision for my company and what I want to happen? Did it actually further it? So in the Instagram example, did I spend a quarter on Instagram when all of my sales were coming from email? That would, to me, be like, okay, I maybe boosted my Instagram platform, but it didn't further my bigger goal of getting more sales and getting more customers. So maybe it's time to pivot. And then also, how did you feel carrying out these tactics? How did you feel? Like, were you working 16 hours a day? Were you serving a bunch of bad fit clients? Or were you attracting the right people? Were you setting up your structures and boundaries and contracts and terms of service so that it didn't feel awful carrying out the sales that you made? I think I must have not like pulled this over. And then also, so I said that in a negative, but to say this in a positive light, if you're figuring out what metrics to track, are they furthering your big picture goals? How did it feel? Regardless of whether you hit the number you were aiming for, how did it feel doing what it took to get to the number? And are you seeing any progress towards your big picture? So those are the metrics I think matter the most. And yes, do get granular. So if you're investing a lot in your email platform, you're going to want to look at things like, did people open the email? How are my unsubscribe rates stacked up against other people in my industry? Were people clicking on the link to like sign up for the program, et cetera? Like, yes, you can look at all of that stuff. But that stuff is like more like, I feel like the little bullet points under what we actually care about. So we have to keep what we actually care about in mind. Are we furthering our big picture vision for the company? Did it suck doing what we were doing to try to get there? That's my approach to metrics, basically.
Can
Okay.
I ask you a question on metrics,
Yeah,
Isa?
absolutely. Yeah.
So I'm curious, one of the things I've ran into sometimes it's about, or at least I feel like what matters is getting people to like and trust the brand.
Yeah.
That's different than necessarily a direct sale, but it does lead to sales. do you have any inputs or thoughts on like how you balance those two of like, I need to grow my sales, but there's also that like, I got to build my brand as well?
Absolutely. That's such a great question. So I think that goes back to like when we're setting goals, are we setting, are we going from A to Z, or are we like A, B, C, D? And so I think the know, like, and trust is like on the shorter, like one of the first steps. Like, so if you're first opening your business, one of your first goals is building know, like, and trust for the brand. And then when you're launching an offer, you have to build know, like, and trust for the offer, right? So if we're launching, for instance, I know Phelan, you're in Coven with me, so we do a lot of focus on live launching. There's different stages of the launch. So one is, who are we? What's the problem we solve? Stage two is, imagine what would be different if you had this problem solved. Stage three is, I have a way to solve this problem. Stage four is, here is the offer that solves that problem. So a lot of launches are structured that way, that you have different goals for each stage of the launch. So in the first stage of the launch, we're not trying to sell the thing. Stage one of the launch, we're selling us. I've got something to say that is relevant to you about your experience. Know, like, and trust. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. And then so accordingly, we're tracking different things, right? So we're not tracking sales in stage one of the launch because we're not trying to sell it yet. We're trying to sell the know, like, and trust. So things we might track there is engagement. So where are we telling people about this? Are they engaging? Are our comments and saves and going up? Are we building our subscribers? That kind of thing. So we match the metrics to the goal for that phase of what we're trying to do. Okay. Oh yeah. Keep forgetting to reshare my screen. Okay. No, I don't want to copy it. I want to share it. Okay. So, when used properly, your metrics should help you hone your messaging and brand and your marketing to be its most potent, most sharp, and effective. So I like to use metrics to figure out what to do more of. So what seemed to further my goals in this stage? Like what brought on the engagement in phase one of my launch? What seemed to further my sales in stage four of my launch? What felt good for me to do? What was the good posting frequency for me to do? And what was too much? One I'm working with now is how long do I need to give each phase of the launch? So personally, 1 week per phase is too short for me. Like I need more spaciousness, or I get too stressed out and start going to that, oh, I failed and now I'm just going to ghost sort of mentality. And then metrics also can be like what to do less of. So the only reason I know I need more than a week per phase of launch is because I was tracking that. What did it feel like when I only gave it a week? Not good. I felt like I was always behind. And where metrics are really important here is both in terms of, are you connecting with the people you want to connect with, getting them to do what you want them to do, but also like, how did you hold up during this process? How did your team hold up during this process? Was it hell? Were you all stressed out and irritable? Or were you like, yeah, we got this. We're feeling spacious and full of ease. Those are metrics to pay attention to for how to make your, not only like what you're putting out to the world more effective, but how you're putting it out personally, internally as a team more effective. Okay. So what helps with all of this like leadership role is knowing who the fuck you are as a brand and as a person. Because it's really hard for you to put out effective marketing if you don't know what you need as a person to put out effective marketing, or if you have people helping you, what you need as a team to put out effective marketing. And then if you don't know the brand, how are you going to get other people to know, like, and trust it enough to buy if you're not clear enough on who you are as a brand? So the tool I really, really like to maintain clarity on your brand is something called a messaging framework. And I'll tell you more about what it is in a minute. But it is kind of a documented big picture vision of who we are, what we're trying to do, what we offer, and who we serve, that kind of thing. The who, what, and where, why, how of your brand. But the thing, before I go into that, I want to remind you that your brand is in a constant process of evolution, especially at the beginning, and especially when you're launching an offer for the first time, or you're in any stage of transition. Your brand is evolving, and that is okay. That doesn't mean anything has gone wrong, but it does mean that you need regular check-ins to update your big picture vision for your brand so that you aren't pulling old messaging, old marketing tactics, old marketing strategies into a new evolution of your business where they're no longer aligned and don't match. So this is why I love having something like a messaging framework, which is like a documented, just add water, here's my brand, but you got to update it at least annually. So this is actually a service I offer to my clients. It's called a brand storytelling package. And I'm like, please don't like put this in a drawer and never touch it. Like you got to update it at least annually. I'd prefer if you checked in with it quarterly or every other quarter at least. So you can make your own messaging framework or you can hire me to make one for you. But here are some things that I like to see in them. And the point of the messaging framework is to have clarity and cohesion for your brand, not just for you, but anyone you were to bring on as a collaborator, as a creative, as someone to help you with your marketing. If you bring on a marketing assistant or a virtual assistant, you want to be able to hand them this document and be like, this is the brand, and have it answer almost every question they could have about like, who are we? What are we trying to do? What are we about? So fun ways to think about this is if you are a reality TV junkie like me and you've ever seen The Real Housewives, you know how they have that tagline at the beginning? Like, what would your brand's tagline be at the beginning? Or like if your business was at a cocktail party, what would be their like little one-liners when someone was like, so what do you do? You know? So here's what I like to put in my messaging frameworks when I do them for my own business or for other people's. I like having a brand quick pitch. So that's like your housewife tagline or how your brand would introduce itself at a cocktail party. I like doing the same thing for each thing you're offering, each service or product. And then I like to have both an overall big picture, like what is the transformation and benefit of investing in your brand, and then transformation and benefit for each of your offers. The other thing I think is helpful is like to make sure you're clear on your own big picture is what is your mission? What is your brand trying to do? Like literally what you doing? And then your vision, the way I like to think about this is if you successfully carry out your mission as a brand, how does that impact your community or the world? Like if you 1000% successfully carry out your mission as a brand, what happens? What's the bigger picture result? And then we also like to have, who are your ideal clients? Who are you trying to serve? So for me, like a small therapy collective would be a perfect client for me. A gun manufacturer would not be, you know? You want that clear in your marketing. Like in the vibe you put out, you want it to be like a little lighthouse. You want to hold that freak flag high so all the aligned freaks can come over to you and everybody who's not aligned could be like, oh, you are not the person for me, you know? That is fine. We also want our values as a business really clear. This is going to help us in terms of who we want to work with and also like what are we okay with tactically marketing wise. So for me and for all of my clients, consent is one of our highest values. So it's really important to us to do marketing ethically, to just tell the truth about what we are and are not offering and the limits of our services, the boundaries around what we are and are not willing to provide, and also like what we're charging so we can do this. And then also, I like to include in my messaging framework guidelines around look, feel, voice, and tone. So this is kind of like everything that gives the vibe. So style guide is a strong component. This can be a separate entity for sure that goes into a lot more detail about visually and emotionally, aesthetically, everything your brand is conveying. For me, I at least like to have the basics. So like colors, fonts, photography guidelines, imagery guidelines, just so if I hand my messaging framework to anyone I'm going to collaborate with, they don't have a lot of questions. They're like, oh, there are the colors. Oh, that's our mission. Oh, that's who this offer, the problem this offer is trying to solve. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. Okay, So why I think a messaging framework is a top priority. So like I just mentioned, it keeps everyone on brand. And it makes onboarding so much easier. It also does things like when you're really clear about who you are, what you're trying to do, what your values are, what your offers are, who your clients are, that makes building, like doing a big investment marketing project like a website so much easier. If you find yourself having to pitch, like do a sales deck for clients, you know, those slides they usually have at the end, like, this is who we are, this is what we do, a little about our foundation story. It makes it so much easier to figure out what information is relevant and what information isn't. Like, honestly, I've done messaging frameworks for people and they're like, this was so good. I literally just made this like my offer page, or I just like pulled like quotes directly for this for our story page. And that's what you want. Like it just, the purpose of your messaging framework, it's like the foundation of your marketing house. You should be able to pull stuff right from it to put in your other marketing, or you should be able to just like glance at it before you hop on a sales call and be able to, you know, riff on why this person should work with you. And also it gets to evolve with your brand. If you read your messaging framework next quarter and suddenly it doesn't feel aligned anymore, you get a big clue that not only do you have to update this document, but maybe you need to let people know who are following you along on your marketing journey or new followers, reintroduce yourself to your followers, introduce yourself to new followers with a bio that now matches your brand because it's clearly changed since the last time you worked on your messaging framework. So I think a lot of, especially in corporate messaging frameworks and stuff like this, got it treated as kind of a luxury if we have time activity. But then I watched so many companies throw away so much money. They're like, I'll do the website first and then the messaging framework. And so they built out a huge website, built way too many pages on offers that were going to be phased out anyway. And then they had to do new pages anyway on the offers they wanted to focus on. Like, do you know how much money that wastes? That is thousands of dollars down the toilet, thousands and thousands and thousands. That is 5 figures down the toilet. If you do the website first before you have brand clarity, if you do the ad campaign first before you have brand clarity, if you hire before you have brand clarity, like there are so many ways. Not doing this as a throwaway exercise after you do all the tactics really slows down you hitting your goals, and in a very expensive way. Okay. So speaking of onboarding, this is also something I wanted to talk about when you are going from a doing everything to running the show approach for marketing. And this was a rough transition for me, honestly. Like when I first had my full team, this was hard for me because I'd been so focused on tactics. I didn't know how to change my mindset to like, oh, now other people are handling that for me. My focus doesn't have to be on the exact same thing. It actually shouldn't be, or people are going to feel micromanaged. And I need to go be focusing on the forest and let them handle the trees. So micromanaging deliverables is not fun. And if you're a solopreneur, this still applies to you if you have anyone like a virtual assistant, if you have anyone you're bringing on to help you do your marketing. You're going to want to focus on things like the messaging framework, on setting goals, on figuring out which metrics are going to actually be meaningful to your work and your journey, and not on micromanaging how they did the design for your Instagram posts or rewriting all of their copy. So the reason why is because if you brought on someone to take stuff off your plate, you have to let them take it off your plate. And when you give them something really clear to go off of, like a messaging framework, you are giving them enough direction for them to actually take it off your plate. Where this becomes hard is if they don't know what they're doing. So you don't have a clear enough vision, clear enough goals for them to be able to take it off your plate because they have to keep asking you questions or taking shots in the dark, and then you redo their work and then nobody's happy, right? That's overwhelming and stressful for everybody. When you focus on having a really good, clear, solid, big picture vision that you can communicate to your own team and to other people, that makes it easier for anybody you bring on board to take work off your plate because they have something solid. They already have a solid foundation to work off of. The other way you're going to want to shift your focus is to build systems for reviews and publishing so that everyone knows what they own and what they're supposed to do when, who needs to sign off, etc. So I like to advise clients no more than 2 people review any marketing asset. Otherwise, the message gets too muddy, it's too frustrating for everybody involved, and it takes too long to like get anything out the door. And I think it's really important that you have clarity of by having some sort of like spreadsheet or project tracker where the when does it need to go out? Who needs to review it? Have they signed off? Does it needs to be reviewed again, or is it okay for the person to take it live? All that needs to be really clear. And then you as the leader need a place to be able to go look at this big picture for what's happening in your marketing and to be like, oh, okay, cool. That went out yesterday. I can expect this deliverable in a week. Oh, okay, they're held up on me needing to review this before it can go out. You need a place where all of that information is in one tidy location. So project management, in other words. So if you're going from a doer to a running the show, you need a clear systems, clear review and publishing process, and one place where you can look where all of that information is stored. Okay. So, for your metrics here, when you're going to a management position, it is important that you keep in mind the human aspect of marketing as an important metric to track. So, did you get everything out on time and hit your goals, but everyone's exhausted and ready to quit? That's not sustainable. We need to track like what people need to feel at ease in their job. I think across the board for all of the types of companies I've worked with and clients, like the most effective marketing is fun marketing. Like stressed out marketing rarely gets the same results as marketing that was fun to make, honestly. And then also quality of life. Like if you are going at setting really high goals, everybody is like terrified, like you're like the Miranda Priestley boss that everyone's terrified of. Like you might hit those goals for a few times, but then you're gonna have so much turnover of people quitting or burning out and drama. Like that's creating a lot of extra work for yourself. So I think quality of life, are people having fun making it? Do they like their job is really important stuff to be tracking if you were going from a doer to a running the show mentality. And then the other thing to when you're staying focused on the forest and letting other people handle the trees, and you do notice gaps, you notice your team is falling short, there are things that aren't getting done, there are metrics that are important to you and relevant to your actual goals and what you actually want that you aren't hitting, to take a strategic and creative approach to filling those gaps. So do you or does your current team have the skill set and capacity to fill those holes? And if not, are you in a position where you can hire? So if you and your team don't have the skill set or capacity to fill those gaps and you have the budget to hire someone, but hire someone to match the exact skill set that you don't have to fit those gaps. Don't just hire another you or another version of another team member. As much as you like yourself, as much as you like your other team member, you are hiring to fill a gap. So if you do not have the budget to fill that hole, how can you reprioritize so that you're focusing on what you can do for right now? That might mean pushing out some goals, some tactics for later. So strategic, realistic, big picture approach to filling gaps. Okay. So if you are leading people doing marketing and you want them to take it off your plate, or you just like want to like not have to be in the weeds as much, you are going to have people still coming to you asking questions. They're going to be like, how do I do this thing? How do I fit this goal? So if you're not already a marketer or you're not really comfortable in your business leadership, like where do you go for all of those answers? And I want you to know that you have options to majorly up-level your business and get those marketing results really fast without actually having to become a marketing expert yourself. And now I'm not saying you can't if you don't want to. I know all my people, everybody that signed up for this class are super smart. Like all of you could become expert marketers if you want to, but I'm not convinced you want to. Like, is that how you want to spend your time? Like, or would you rather be doing the thing you're in business for? Like, you could get some, I did like a post that I heard sound a little arrogant, but I'm okay with that, where I was like, I honestly have people who have struggled with marketing problems for 5 months that I solved in 5 minutes for them. And that's true. That's true. And now I don't doubt that those same people could acquire my 10 years of knowledge and experience so that they could also solve a 5-month problem in 5 minutes if they wanted to. But I don't think they want to. That's not how they want to be spending their time. That's not how they want to spend their next 10 years. They have other goals. So if you don't want to spend the 10 years and 10 years of messing up and failing and studying and researching and getting to the point where you can solve a 5-month marketing problem in 5 minutes, then all you need to do is find the person, get access to a person who has spent that time. So admit that you need help, but not just any help. So I think where a lot of entrepreneurs go wrong here is they're like, I need marketing help. And then they hire like a very inexpensive person off, what is that thing? Forgetting it. They hire a very inexpensive freelancer, a brand new VA, a very cheap marketing assistant for in-house help. And you're like, great, now I have help. And then that inexperienced person who doesn't know about your brand, doesn't have a lot of experience in marketing, is constantly looking to you to tell them what to do. So they might have taken some of the like manual labor off your hands, but you still have to be really involved. You still have to tell them what to do, which means you have to go research and figure out what to do. So sometimes I think the best move is to, rather than going for the cheap help first, if you don't know what to tell them, if you're not going to know what to tell them what to do, is go for the expert help first. So that when you up level with this expert help, so when you can take shortcuts and not spend 5 months on a 5-minute problem, and you get a lot of more money and quickly, and then you are in the position to hire people, you know what to tell them what to do because you have an expert you can turn to when you don't know yourself. Okay, so if you don't want to be an expert, find an expert. And there are options at every single price point. So there are free options. There are free options everywhere. You are now at a free masterclass or watching the replay for a free masterclass. You can find people who you resonate with and are in similar fields or help people in similar fields to you. You can find their YouTubes, their blogs, their freebies, their podcasts, etc. There are free options. Now, I want you to know, not always, but when we go from low to high price investment on access to the expert, the lower you invest financially, the more work you're still going to have to do yourself. You're paying more for someone to take stuff off your plate. Okay, so the low mid-cost option for having access to a marketing expert if you don't want to become one yourself is to get a membership in a group or group marketing or business coaching program, like the Squad, which is something that I offer. Or you could do single sessions with marketing consultants or business coaches. I got one of those. It's called Pep Talk in a Pinch. And this, you get more like expert eyes directly on your business. You can ask them your question. They can look at inside your business and help you with your specific problems. The high ticket offer for like more support, more direct help, more eyes and honing your marketing in your business and making sure your goals are set up and aligned with what you really want to accomplish is one-on-one business coaching. And this is usually a 4 or 5 figure investment for decent programs. So my program like this, which is Season of Support, I think it's $33.33 right now for 3 months of one-on-ones with me. And you're paying more to have someone like basically hold your hand and walk you through it. Make sure things get done. Make sure you're setting up your marketing strategy and tactics aligned with what you really want to accomplish and your current capacity, your ability to navigate gaps, your ability to pivot when a pivot is needed or stay the course, even though it's emotionally hard and it doesn't feel like it's working yet. someone who can show you where you are succeeding, where you do need to take it to heart that we're taking steps in the right direction, someone to pump you up. That is your higher ticket investment. So a lot of people are like, man, why are memberships and why are like group or one-on-ones with consultants so expensive? And I want to break this down for you because what it would cost you to have that level of business and marketing expertise in-house is 6 figures. That is the average salary for a marketing director in the United States for 2023 was over 100K. So even though you're making a 4 or 5 figure investment in a decent group membership or one-on-one coaching program with a marketing expert, is because to have that person full-time in-house, you'd have to pay over 100K. So that's why it's so expensive. Okay. Now, let's mitigate this cost some more. I want to walk you through some fun math about what you are more than likely already spending by letting so much of your focus be pulled to marketing confusion, trying to figure out these answers on the fly.
Can I ask a quick question on the previous slide?
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm kind of curious. I personally have not spent money on like business coach or consultant ever, but my dad has, and he's had a lot of, he's hired the cheap ones and he's hired the expensive ones, and he's kind of not been super excited. I mean, with where we are today, looking back, it's not been a great, experience. Do you have any suggestions on good ways to kind of, when you're looking at these different options, how to really like feel confident that you're making the right decision with your money?
Absolutely. Great question. So I like to look at the testimonials and one good check, see if they're still in business. So I pay attention to the testimonials and the reviews, see if they're still in business and if they're in a business similar to you. I take a long time researching before I'm willing to make an investment like this. So I like listen to the podcast. I'm on the newsletter list. I try some of their cheaper offers. Like I get tastes of what it's like working with this person to make sure they're going to resonate with me. And a great thing to check here is, did you get something out of the free offer? Do you get something out of their podcast? Are you already getting stuff with whatever marketing they're putting out there right now? Because if you're getting stuff from just what they're giving out for free, imagine their eyes on your business. Imagine if they could hold your hand or you had them on speed dial if you're having a business anxiety spiral. And then for me and a lot of my clients, I think where we've felt disappointed or let down is we've been, I think it's a money thing often. We get freaked out about money and we get seduced by some like 6 weeks to 10K months or 6 weeks to building 10K months or something like that. And we get really excited about the money program. And then when we look back after putting all that money in and we're like, so what did I get out of this program? And it's like a bunch of generic templates. Like templates are not, marketing is never one size fits all. No template is going to work the same for every business. So I think also being curious about what are they actually promising I'm going to get out of this? And are they making promises that are not possible to keep? Like people cannot guarantee that you're going to have 10K months. They can't, because they're not in your business doing the work. You are. They can't guarantee what you're going to do with the information, right? I'd hop on discovery calls if you can, or if you don't feel comfortable, if you can get any way you can taste working with them and see what it does for you. Yeah. Does that help?
Yeah. No, I think that's a good way to look at it. I appreciate that. Thank you.
For sure. Okay. Okay. So what is likely costing you right now? Even my solopreneurs, actually, especially my solopreneurs, you are probably wasting the equivalent of a full-time employee's salary if you're not investing in marketing help and are trying to figure out marketing. And here's why. Let's say you're a service provider and it costs $100 to talk to you for an hour. So let's say that means your time is worth $100 an hour. So just if you spend 5 hours a week chasing after marketing how-to knowledge, taking classes, watching videos, reading articles, etc., If you're doing everything I told you to do, if all you can afford right now is a free option for marketing help, that is $2,000 a month of your time that you are spending trying to figure out marketing. Now, let's say you get in an anxiety spiral about money, marketing, sales, the future of your business, and it messes with your mental health and it knocks you out of commission and you have to go like, do some self-care. Nothing wrong with that for an hour. Nothing wrong with that at all. I'm not judging this. But let's say that happens and you have to go like do some mental health band-aid stuff because of marketing stress, an average of 3 hours a week. That's another $1,200 a month right now. And then let's say you spend about an average of 20 hours a week trying to fix problems. So your launch has started, you're a week in and you only have 2 signups and you freak out and you rewrite your sales page, you're redoing your templates, you're scrapping your last marketing strategy and trying to put together a new one. You're giving new direction to your collaborators and assistants, and then everybody's stressed out and you have some interpersonal drama that has some resulting friction. Let's say some scenario like that is happening regularly enough that you're spending 20 hours a week trying to blow stuff up and fix it, redo it. That's another $2,000 a month. And I think honestly, based on how many people I've worked with, we could probably say most of this stuff is at least double the amount of time most of people are spending on it, especially earlier in their business, or if they are not at a place where they feel comfortable yet generating sales. But just with this example, that's $5,200 a month, and that is $62,400 a year, which is, you could get a decent full-time in-house employee for that much money.
I have a question.
Absolutely, yes.
So, this is great math. And can you help me reconcile that this math works, assuming that you actually have clients that you're getting paid money, $100 an hour or however much you charge during those hours that you're like, if you don't have the clients that's filling that time, then does this math still work? Does that make sense?
I think it does, because if we're just, it's like kind of the trees for the forest thing. If our mindset is still on just the trees, how do we do all the marketing stuff? And we're spinning and we're spinning and we feel like we don't have the budget for help. We're still flushing this money down the drain. And so what happens here, I'm going to imagine that you're having this problem, but you don't have the budget to invest in something. Okay. You do still have time. So you could be spending your time this way, or you could be like, okay, I need a better strategy. So I need to resource the free options to help me get to solve these problems. So, and I'm going to commit, I'm not going to blow any of my strategies up. I'm not going to change things up. I'm going to get really strategic about how I spend those 5 hours a week chasing marketing knowledge about like, how do I get to this very specific goal? How do I set a really specific goal, etc. Now, if you do have budget, definitely stop spending your time this way and figure out how you can access an expert so that they can, instead of this 5 hours a week of you chasing this information, they can just tell you. Instead of you wasting 20 hours a week blowing stuff up, pivoting, redoing, they can be like, here is the best course of action, and you can just run with that.
Yeah, thank you. So I think for me, my problem is that in the last year and a half, I have invested a lot of money in the business I want to have in a year kind of mentality. Most of it's gone on my credit cards, but it's not transferring to clients. I mean, sure, the client base is growing, but so slowly. Meanwhile, I'm still paying interest and paying back my investments, and so every step that is like, well, if you just invest more money, then you'll start getting clients. I'm like, well, I've been doing for a year and a half and all I'm doing is paying interest. So, I'm still not meeting my budget goals. I'm still putting my groceries on credit cards most months. And so it's like I hear it and I know that it's true, but also I haven't seen the results yet in the investments that I've made.
That's
So
such a great point. I really don't like that tactic that was popular for a while, or maybe still is until I like weeded out who I was following, where they're like, yeah, go into debt to work with me. Like you'll get there faster. Like I don't like that tactic because you have to feel safe in your body to be able to show up with the vulnerability and authenticity that is required to have effective marketing, especially if you have a personal brand, especially if people are going to be working on you one-on-one with any sort of vulnerable problem they're coming to you with. So how are you going to be vulnerable if you are terrified about money or how you're going to pay your bills? So if you're listening to this and you're like, I got to figure out some way to work with you one-on-one, Issa, I'm going to go into debt. I'm going to take out a loan. I'm going to do credit cards. It is your choice. If you can do that and still feel safe in your body or safe enough to be excited and hyped, if that isn't overshadowed by money terror, cool. But if you're gonna do all of that, if you're gonna put it on credit cards and be terrified about money and have that overshadow your hype and enthusiasm and excitement in your business and ability to serve people, it is not aligned. Listen to my podcast, The Irresistible Marketing Pod. Follow my YouTube. Hang out on my free resources until you are at a place where you have money to spend that is not going to make you fill you with terror whenever it's and put so much pressure on your business to perform. It is incapacitating emotionally for you to show up in your marketing.
thank you so much. That I needed to hear that.
You're welcome. So I hope this slide didn't like terrify you. I wanted to put it out there. Like this slide is mainly for the people with budget and they're just like, maybe I should do this, or maybe I should get new equipment, or maybe blah, 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 blah. If you are in a position where you just need sales right now, don't worry about this. Just use those 5 hours a week you're spending chasing marketing knowledge really strategically and effectively. So basically right now, you need the strategy, the wisdom, the advice of when I need money fast, how do I make it? That is your focus. And then when you make that money, you can come invest it in more higher touch support. Okay. The only caveat to that is if you can't get started at all on your own, if you are like, I'm in on my business, but I'm like getting so stalled and freaked out, and I can't do anything, then it might be worth it to go into debt a little bit to get just enough support to be able to show up at all so you can make the sales. But it's up to you. You know yourself better than me, which makes you feel safer, which is going to make you more capable of showing up for your marketing so you can get the money that you need. Okay. All right. So for the people who are trying to figure out their budget and whether like getting access to an expert is worth the investment, here are just a few of the things that they would take off your plate if you had them in-house. So basically much of what we talked about on this call. So like metrics, which ones to track, how to make sense of them, how to pivot. What is your plan for all of your marketing channels? When is it time to phase one out? When is it time to jump on TikTok? How much, which ones are we focusing on? What's our posting frequency? Launch scheduling, onboarding, training. I mean, training, brand cohesion with your team, content strategy, keeping the trains running on time, setting up systems to make sure nothing falls through the cracks, bringing the fresh, new, profitable ideas, tactics, and networks to your business. So that is what an in-house marketing director, this is why you pay them 6 figures, because they take all that off your plate, plus a lot of stuff you didn't have capacity to do yourself or know how to do yourself. Now, again, I know most of people are small businesses, so you probably are not in the market for an in-house marketing director. Quick caveat, I'm going to pitch some services. If you were like, I just wanted the information, it's time to pop off now, go for it, no hard feelings. Just going to tell you about the squad really fast. The squad is where you can get access to me and who would be a 6-figure in-house marketing director, but you get a crowd share the cost with other rad, eccentric entrepreneurs doing the impossible in real time. So this is saving you those 5-10 hours a week you are spending trying to chase marketing answers where you can just literally ask me. You don't have to go off of faulty or out of date information or learn the hard way as much. Like, I can't save you from all the hard lessons. You're going to have to learn some of them, but I can save you from some of the ones I've made or some of the ones my clients have made. And you get so much time back from your business that way. You're not spending all of the time investment, the emotional turmoil trying to figure this out by yourself. You're going to have so many more resources for your own work. Less business and anxiety spirals. And when you are in one, you're going to have someone who's supportive to talk to about it, to talk you through it, who's solution oriented, who is not going to feed into your doubts and your fears, who is going to hype you up. You also get a rad community who is, again, the people that are drawn to me are doing kind of unique, unusual things and making it work. And that community is so important. Like, if you listen to my podcast at all, I just had an episode about how like personal life relationships can affect your business. And I saw consistently, but the difference between my high and low cash months in 2023 was who I was investing in emotionally. And when the people close to me were like, well, maybe you should have a backup plan or do this other more conventional option, etc., my confidence went down and my sales went down. And in the months when I was really emotionally invested and the people closest to me were like, yeah, we all have big dreams and believe in ourselves and have big goals and are hyping each other up. Oh my gosh, my sales went up so high. So in the squad, you get personal attention from me. There's a private Facebook group. You get expert eyes on your actual marketing assets, your actual marketing metrics. You get free copy editing from me. You get a monthly business lab where I'll do like a little mini marketing lesson, and then anyone who wants to can hop on the Zoom and we will go look at your sales page. We will go look at your website analytics. We will make sense of it in real time. And then we also get a monthly group marketing confidence cheerleading, just group coaching session. So anything that is standing in the way of you and the kind of sales you want, making the kind of marketing you want, having the kind of business you want, having the kind of ease in your business you want, we can troubleshoot. So this can be strategic, this can be tactical, and this can be emotional, because we all know business is personal and it brings up a lot of stuff. And if you have anything around self-worth, if you have anything around codependency or people pleasing, expect your business to trigger that for sure. You also get a private masterclass archive, so you can always have resources for whatever you're going through in your business. And there is a VIP option where you can have a private one-on-one thread with me that I check multi-times a day, 4 days a week. So it's like you always have someone on call, whatever business stress or confusion you're going through. All right. So that is the squad. I've also got a one-on-one program season of support that you can check out. It's all on my website, which is misamessaging.com. Here's all the places you can follow me. You can even call me. Let me know if you have any questions about this program. And otherwise, got about 15 minutes left in the schedule, and I'll just answer questions if there are any left. You can ask me anything you want about marketing or business or the squad if you'd like.
I mean, I'd be curious to know with the squad. One of the things I think that's kind of interesting is how's the peer relationship side work for people? Like, is there a lot of cross-pollination of ideas and I guess support, if that makes sense?
Yeah. So full disclosure, Squad is a brand new offer. So it's brand new. So part of this will be evolving, but my goal for the Facebook group is that this really becomes the place where everybody can talk to each other. I am planning to show up with mini marketing challenges, like marketing prompts for the week, or like business big picture check-ins, where we can all just have threads where we're co-working on this together. If that's something that helps motivate you with getting to like bounce ideas off of other people, helps motivate you. And I also think it's super helpful just because for my peeps, like we tend to like go into a self-blame thing whenever anything goes wrong in our business. We tend to like have some shame stuff go up. And so it's so valuable to see other people we like, admire, and respect also having these struggles, with business. And then also, like, whenever one of us wins, it shows the rest of us that it's possible for us to to win in this unconventional path we've taken. Yeah. Any other questions?
I don't have a question. I will be in the squad and I'm really looking forward to it. One of the things I'm really excited about is the peer support. Like, I have a feeling based on other groups that you and I are involved in that will be really valuable. And also just having kind of a consistent support, you know, something that's just there, that's regular, that I keep checking in with. I think that will help me get over some of my overwhelm.
Awesome. I'm so excited to have you in the squad, Phelan, and I'm excited for every single person who's joined. Like, it's a really cool group. And Joshua, a lot of them are from Portland if you are still interested in in-person networking. So yeah. Any other questions before I give you your afternoon back? Okay. All right, well, fantastic. This has been so much fun. Thank you for bringing the great questions. Feel free to reach out to me anytime if you have any questions about this or anything else we covered. And have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. Have a good one, Isa.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.